used to have this tradition that every Sunday I would go to the coffee bean by my house and I would get a vanilla latte as a treat. And every time I did this, I would stand in line and I would scroll through my phone, looking at whatever nonsense it was, not paying attention to the world around me. But there was one Sunday that I forgot my car and my phone. Wow, I heard that and had to think, did I just say that? I left my phone in my car. Goodness, I left my phone in my car. So while I was in line, I was forced to pay attention to the world around me. And I'm so glad I did, because I was able to witness something very important that I would have normally missed. So many years ago, my mother got sick. My mother's name was Patty, and she got the type of sick where you go through radiation, chemo, and eventual hair loss. And she was living in Florida, I was living in Chicago, so she was mostly on her own with this. So one day she went to the library, and she was sitting at a table, and at this point she was fully bald, and she had the telltale kerchief to cover it up. And as she is sitting there, she starts to cry a little bit to herself. And at this point, a stranger approaches her, a stranger with a full head of hair, walks up to her, touches her shoulder, and says, "Everything's going to be okay." Now, my mother was rather indignant at this point, because this stranger just came up to her, and she said to the stranger, "How could you possibly know?" To which the stranger responded, "Because I'm okay, and I used to have your exact same haircut." At that point, those two women sat down and they talked for about an hour about the commonalities they had about battling an awful disease. And that night, Patty called me to tell me about that exchange and how much it meant to her, because as she told me, it felt so good to say all those things out loud to someone who understood. So we cut ahead many years to me standing in line, waiting for my treat at the coffee bean, phoneless, paying attention to the world around me. And I see over by the barista station this woman who is in her mid to late 50s, wearing a lot of denim, and she has the bald head and the telltale kerchief, and she is talking to the barista, and she is saying that she had a radiation treatment later that day, and she was nervous about it, but she's just got to take things day by day, like that song. Now the barista is slammed, and she has no time for this, and as I watch this, I am overwhelmed with it, because the song that she referenced is from Godspell, the musical. That the song is called Day by Day, and I worked Spotlight for that show in college, and I have now heard that song 7,500 times. So all those lyrics have some really good real estate in my long-term memory. So as she says, I'm going to take it day by day. For whatever reason, I decided to engage. And I said, "To see thee more clearly, love thee more dearly, follow thee more nearly, day by day?" And she goes, "Yes." And I said, "I know that song." And that right there opened up the floodgates to where now she went on a 10-minute monologue where she told me everything going on in her life, including the fact that she had the radiation treatment later that day. She thought this was painful. She thought this would be painful too. Her daughter last week got diagnosed with alopecia, and she doesn't know what to do with that. Oh, and don't even get her started on her alcoholic brother, because he is trying to poison their mother against her because she used to be on hard drugs. She's not on hard drugs anymore, though. Now, at this point in the conversation, I've said hardly anything, and all I can think is, what have I gotten myself into? But then she circled back to her daughter, and her face got softer, because she talked about what the two of them had done the night before, which was they sat on the couch under a blanket, and it was the same thing they used to do when she was a little girl, and they would watch a movie and they'd call it Cuddle Buddy, Cuddle Buddy. And her face got so soft, and it was just so wonderful to hear her talk about something that she loved so very much. Now, at this point, I had my treat of vanilla latte, and it was time for me to get to work. So I said to her, "It has been a pleasure talking to you, but I do need to get to work." And as I turn, she touches me in the arm, and she says, "Thank you. Just saying that stuff out loud made me feel so much better." And right then, my brain immediately shot back to a time many years ago. So I looked at this woman and I said sincerely, "I completely understand, because because my mother used to have your exact same haircut.